Welcome to 33 Founders, a series about founders of the coolest startups. Brought to you by 33 Voices and hosted by Chase Jennings and Jenna Abdu.
Let's say it's my sister-in-law's birthday and the last thing I want to do is give her the dreaded Visa gift card. So I log on to Wantful. Once I get onto the site, what should I do?
It's really simple. Just tell us a little bit about your sister and what's her sense of style, what she's interested in, and of course how much you want to spend. And we help you put together a collection of 12 perfectly suited gifts for her at the price point you suggested. And that collection gets printed in this beautiful little customized gift book that's wrapped like a present. She opens it up, discovers the products, and chooses the one that she'd like to receive. And then, of course, we send it to her.
Absolutely. And the process of letting people choose their own gifts really has never existed before, but it's also never been easier with the way you designed Wantful. How did simplicity play a role in your vision?
Well, the starting point for the experience came from, I used to live in Japan for a couple of years working for Sony, and there's a gift book experience there that is quite common, and it's quite a thriving business. But you might go to someone's wedding and give them a gift of, let's say, a $200 catalog literally full of hundreds and hundreds of products at that price point. There's nothing personal about it, nor in the Japanese culture would you necessarily want it to be too personal. And there's no curation. It's really just a set of products that are curated by the company that makes these. So you buy it off the shelf and give it. And so that struck me as an interesting solution to the choice problem and the opportunity to ensure that the recipient gets what they want. But there's nothing personal about it. And of course, in especially in our view of gift giving, it's really about the thought that counts, right? It's really about the personalization. It's about doing something thoughtful. If you think about the best gift you ever got, it wasn't necessarily the most expensive or the most extravagant. It's oftentimes the thing that felt most thoughtful. So how do we solve the mechanical problem of making sure the person loves what you want, what you give them, they actually want the gift you gave, but also introduce a lot of the kind of emotional value of gift giving, both for important gifts and for really casual gifts that we've lost along the way in favor of gift cards and pre-printed greeting cards and gift bags with a wad of tissue paper topping it off. Just kind of bring back what's really important about gifting, and of course, on top of all of that, support it with exceptional products that you just don't find elsewhere.
How do you find the products?
That's a big part of what it is that we do. We've got a team of really talented buyers who look for product that we don't see elsewhere, that are up-and-coming designers, heritage brands that have a particularly interesting story behind them, products that we think make exceptional gifts. Again, part of the experience of gifting is not just getting you something, but getting you something that has a bit of a story behind it that's interesting. That when someone says, "Oh, where did you get that bag?" I got it from a friend who got it for me from Wantful. Here's the story about it behind it, or something interesting. That ability to kind of carry the experience forward just makes the gift feel more thoughtful and more interesting.
Right, yeah, it's my buddy's birthday next week, so I'm about to get him one of these wooden bike crates that I found on your site. It's awesome. I mean, I would never see that anywhere.
Great product. And because of the way the service works, we don't. We have the luxury of being able to offer more specialized products. Again, great in the gift-giving context. You can find things on our service that you wouldn't find in a big store because they wouldn't carry a large number of something so specialized.
Mm-hmm. So let's shift gears for a second, John, and talk a little bit about your journey. Wantful is your fourth company that you founded. So how has your thinking changed since the first time around?
Well, the first two businesses were in the film and television space. They were visual effects studios in Montreal, and that's a very, very different business model. I kind of fell into the first one and made a very explicit decision for the second one, and they were both successful in their own right. But at the end of the day, a service business, even the second one having 150 people on the team, is only as successful as its next project. And that kind of treadmill where you're not actually building any IP, and you're not you're working project to project is just not scalable. I love the business and I love the team that we built and what we were accomplishing, but it wasn't an opportunity to build the economic fundamentals of that business were very different than something focused on product. And so I decided to shift gears, and that's when I ended up working at Sony in Tokyo for a few years, getting my head around the consumer electronics space. and realized at that, 2 years into that, there was an opportunity to go after something in what would ultimately become known as social media. And so came to San Francisco, started Tiny Pictures, and launched what was basically the first mobile social media service, the first mobile photo sharing service, around the same time Flickr started. Akin to what you see in Instagram or Path today, but way back in 2004, 2005, when it was a very different world. And so that was when I realized that building product in a consumer space was just resonated with me more, and had the opportunity to build something that would scale and be of bigger consequence in the world. And we had a great experience with that company and got acquired by Shutterfly. And this, for me, is probably as close to a perfect match with everything I'm interested in and everything I've learned in the last 20 years of doing the various things that I've done, and everything that excites me. And so it's sort of come full circle to something. I'm not more passionate about this than the other companies, but this one resonates with me more personally at a deeper level, and that's really gratifying.
You still get to apply all of your talents that are so close to your heart, that were with you in the first projects.
Yeah, absolutely. Not to mention all the learnings along the way, all the things that you do wrong the first time you do it, or the second or the third time you do it, all the little nuances around building a really strong world-class team and kind of going after a business opportunity. All of those things just accrue, even if you move from industry to industry.
And when you look back on such successful 20 years, John, and you're sitting today in your Wantful office, is there something that you look back on as maybe a specific lesson that's really shaped your entrepreneurial journey?
That's a good question. I think there are a lot of lessons along the way. A lot of them have to do with how to build a world-class team, and how to find people that are smarter than you at what they do, and support them, and give them just enough direction, and also get out of their way. I think that's probably core to everything that I've done incorrectly, and hopefully now more correctly over time. It's kind of the through line to all of it. And also just doing stuff that you're passionate about. I love the business of starting businesses. It just feels like the thing that I'm meant to do. It feels like a vocation, but I don't know that I would want to put this kind of emotional attachment and time into into a product that I didn't believe in, or into an experience that didn't feel right to me.
Absolutely. And you mentioned team building and just the team being a really important part of any organization. What are some of the key qualities that you look for?
I think a lot of it has to do with people's kind of natural disposition. Right? I'm far less concerned about where you went to school or even what job title you had before, and I'm much more interested in what the fire in your belly. What are you passionate about? Do you have a track record of throwing yourself in the deep end and learning how to swim? Do you have a track record of trying to outdo the things that you've done before, or do you tend to rest on your laurels? In the businesses that we've been in, there's been a need to kind of cut against the grain, and people who naturally do that because the going with the grain is maddening and soul crushing. Those are people that I respond most well with, and that I find have the best results. And oftentimes those tend to be people that are just out of school, who don't necessarily have what appears to be the perfect background, but have the perfect perspective and attitude and drive. And those people have taught me an enormous amount, and have really kind of driven each of these companies in a really fantastic way.
Now, you're pretty successful in many of your own terms. Looking back on these past 2 years, what are you most proud of, though?
It's a good question. I think I'm probably most proud of building something that I believe in. Right? I think the Radar, the service that we built, the photo sharing service. I get the question a lot. Well, did it bum you out when Instagram sold for $1 billion? And genuinely, if you ask people that are closest to me, it doesn't bum me out at all. It makes me really excited that we did this thing very early on, and we took a lot of chances, and we kind of, understood the opportunity early enough to kind of push it in a certain direction. And other people came along from a totally different perspective, whether they knew what we had done or not, and did something fantastic with it. I think that's fantastic. But the fact that we did something that we felt really strongly about and really really proud of at the time, and it had a real deep emotional impact on people's lives. I think that's great.
Really excited that you guys just partnered with Nordstrom's.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that. That's huge.
Thank you.
What are you most excited about with that project?
I've been involved with a lot of large-scale partnerships between big companies or between small and big companies, and I've been on both sides of that equation in each of those scenarios. And some of them have been really fruitful. Some of them have been painful, and some of them have been very fruitful. But this was one that just felt completely organic. They're a company that's 112 years old. They're one of the absolute best in the specialty retail business in the United States. They're an iconic brand. And they think about their customer and have a global, decade-long reputation, or decades-long reputation for being the best in the business at taking care of their customers. We like to think we take care of our customers just as well. We don't have necessarily 112 years to back that up, but our customers believe we treat them well. But when we first started talking, they understood some of the most important and most nuanced aspects of what it is we're building and striving to build. And to hear someone that does what they do at the scale they do it, understand those kind of nuances, just felt like a really good starting point. And the more we talked about what we could do together, the more it felt like a great fit. And so we started to engage and move forward on a possible collaboration, and it just felt right from the start. And having just launched and gone through the process of bringing somebody in a market together with them, and also just coming out of a couple of days of meetings of what's next with them, I couldn't be more excited. The team here is equally excited, and they're just a brilliant partner to work with. So we love the idea of scale. We love the idea of learning everything that they've learned through all the history of their company about retail experiences and about treating your customer right and building a strong and thriving business around selling great merchandise.
Absolutely. And just going off that customer service, everyone knows that's what Nordstrom is really known for. And the Wantful, just the organization as a whole, really embodies that as well. It's all about the really amazing customer experience. Why is that personal relationship with the customer so important to you?
I think in a lot of ways that's what you are, right? In a world where everyone's selling, Nordstrom sells products that other people sell. And so why do you buy products from Nordstrom's instead of from another retailer who has the same product? You might shop at one retailer over another because of the price, but their whole experience is focused less on price competition and more on just a great experience. And they do that start to finish, through and through. And there are endless and endless stories of that moment when a Nordstrom customer became a lifelong customer. And it's oftentimes, just going a half step in a certain direction by the part of one person on a Nordstrom team, that just going the extra mile, not even the extra mile, the extra step that wins people over, and you just have this emotional kind of visceral reaction, like this is the company that I believe in because they take good care of me and I have a great experience there. And that's a far more powerful, result than my going to shop at your store because you sell something for 3% less than I could get it down the street. And that's the gamble that they made throughout the history of their company, and it pays off in spades. And that's a big part of how we think about our customer experience as well.
So let's fast forward to this time next year. What will be your greatest indicator of success?
That's a good question. I think maybe the ability to hold on to the kind of reaction we get from our customer who gives a gift and the person that they give a gift to, and to be able to continue that kind of transformative experience at a larger and larger scale, and to be able to do so in the voice of a partner like Nordstrom and potentially other partners in that category. I think that's holding on to what we're doing while we continue to scale it is probably crucial. And I think if we've gotten that right next year, we'll know.
Now, Wantful is partnered with countless businesses around the world. So what's your greatest piece of advice for aspiring entrepreneurs or maybe established entrepreneurs who are seeking to develop meaningful partnerships?
I think choose your partners wisely. I think we've done a really solid job of that with Wantful in particular. There's a kind of partnership that's really makes sense on paper, but doesn't have the kind of cultural fit or the brand fit or the personality fit, and those things are really hard to get right. They end up being a big sink for time. So I think when it's going to work, you know it. When it feels right, go for it. And when it doesn't, trust your instinct.